And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome back to another NSF live stream. I am your host, D-Wise, for this evening as we look at Ship 35 here at Massey's ahead of what we expect to be some more engine testing coming up here shortly. Of course, though, I am not alone for this testing. Joining me here today, starting off, we have Alex. How are you doing, Alex?
Well, round 2 today of Ship 35 testing, I guess. And of course, I had to be here again, because why not?
And it is not just us here. We also have Ryan Weber. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Round 2 electric boogaloo today. Round 6 of engine testing for this ship. Like, dang. I don't know. I think I said it this morning. I'll say it again. This is the most SpaceX has ever attempted or tried to test the engines on a ship since Ship 24. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So we're just gonna go with that. It's a thing. So can they not break it anymore?
Well, that's definitely the goal here with all this testing. Of course, it's not just the voices you hear on commentary here today in the background, pushing buttons, pulling levers, and all the like. We have Carson, and out in the field, I know we have Jack setting up a camera. I know we have Dan setting up a camera. And I know there are a few other folks that might be doing some things for this testing this evening. We've got a large crew out for you to see what's the latest here with Ship 35. Now, Caesar also is out and about, I'm being told from the back channels. So, large team out for this testing. This has been a long journey for Ship 35 to this point ahead of flight. I mean, we saw multiple attempts ahead of, they had a single engine test. They had now 2 6-engine static fire tests, and it was back at the production site. It's back out at Massey's once again for some more testing. And we're just a few days ahead of Flight 9 potentially. So, Alex, can you tell us what have we seen? What do we know about what Ship 35 has done to this point?
Yeah, that is one of the things that we talked about a lot this morning when they were doing the round of testing this morning, where it was like, well, they did the single engine static fire test simulating the in-flight relight. Then they did the first 6-engine static fire test, which we hoped at the time that it was going to be 1 minute long, but it ended up being 30 seconds long. And at the time of shutdown, it did seem kind of flashy, right? So we thought, well, maybe it's okay. And then, no, it was not okay. They changed at least one of the engines, and then they rolled it out again. And they finally did a second 6-engine static fire test, this time running for a full 1 minute, length, right? So we thought, okay, that's it for Ship 35, right? It's not going to do any more testing. Then it rolled back to Mega Bay 2. We thought, okay, it's going to get the Starlink simulators. It's going to get all prepared for flight and everything. But then here we are again, third time with Ship 35 here at Massey's. This morning, they loaded propellant on the ship. We were talking about, well, what else is there to test now? It seems like they might have replaced at least one Raptor vacuum engine again. So maybe they're going to be doing some kind of, I don't know, a spin prime test, a static fire test of that single engine. Maybe they go for a full engine static fire test again, or maybe they go for a full engine spin prime. And what if they go to a static fire? What are they going to do? Are they going to do a short duration? Or are they going to be doing a full duration? So that was this morning, and then we didn't see anything. We talked about how, if it were a spin prime, it will be a little bit hard to see. Not impossible, but hard. And so we tried to go through our footage. We didn't see anything. It was also true that the liquid oxygen tank was not fully loaded, which for previous tests, even for spin primes, it has been loaded entirely, or at least very close to entirely. So after that, the road opened at Massey's, and we thought, oh, maybe, it was okay. There was also a rollback closure and everything. And then we noticed, hang on, the rollback closure was signed yesterday on Wednesday. And so it might have been that SpaceX filed that ahead of time, and then it was approved, and then it was published. But the rollback closure was supposed to start at 8 p.m. Central, and as you can see, we are about 2.5 minutes away from that start of the window, and Ship 35 is at Massey's and frosty and getting loaded with propellant. All of this to say, we have no idea what's going to happen today. But I guess it's an Alex answer on sort of the rundown so far of what we've seen. So expect the unexpectable. I don't know, we're good old tank watching here.
We are indeed. So yeah, if you could take a close look at the ship, it's a bit hard to see with some of the condensation flying by it in the foreground, but there is a frost level on the ship, and it is rising. So, I mean, Ryan, do we have any idea when we could see this sort of testing based on this frost level and when it first started?
Based off when it first started, I'd give it a 20, 30 minutes, give or take. So around, 8:20, 8:30, in and around that mark. We should see a methane frost shortly. The real kicker is obviously this morning, they seem to have, they didn't fully fill the LOX tank. Maybe they'll fully fill it this time because maybe they ran into an issue and stopped loading. So, I guess we'll see here. We'll see if they actually fully fill it this time. So
Yeah,
a lot of question marks here.
yeah, that was one of the things that we were pointing out this morning. Like, maybe that was the planned thing, right? It's been done before that they loaded entirely, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to be doing it every single time they test, right? It may be enough for a spin prime or a static fire or whatever, right? But it was sus, as they say, as the kids say nowadays. It was sus.
Yeah, and of course, if any of you have questions about Flight 9, about this testing, about Ship 35, about Starship in general, go ahead at NASASpaceflight in chat, and it will pop up in our back channel where we can be sure to answer your question on stream. And so the first question we got when we first started this stream from Fighting Falcon is, do we know why they're testing Ship 35 again? And we really don't have a specific, clear answer on that one.
We think they changed another RVAC again. As it looks like they did one before, and then went out and then did a 60-second static fire. It looks that we saw an RVAC leaving Mega Bay 2. Most likely that was from this ship. So they might have changed one again, which means they're trying to do another verification of it again, of the one they changed, rather than just throw it in and fly it, which could, lead to a whole bunch of risks and all other bunch of stuff. You don't want to, just install an engine and then not test it before you're supposed to fly it. You want to try to test that. So that kind of goes with, them trying to do this again here. So, yeah.
Yeah, so of course, we're going to continue to keep a close eye on all of this. Unlike with launches where SpaceX does a live stream, we don't have an exact T0, so you won't be seeing a clock counting down or anything of the like, but we will do our best to get quiet when it seems likely that something could happen with this testing here. In the meantime, I want to thank some of the support that we've already seen this evening from Mock Diamonds. Thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. If you got that Red Team membership, be sure to thank Mock Diamonds in the chat. And we have Connor G here with a $5 super chat saying, updating my Falcon 9 spreadsheet while watching. I've been slacking since the start of the month and have 9 Starlink missions to add. I think that's really a sign of just how fast SpaceX is going, because the Starlink missions don't stop. We've got another in a couple days here, and they're going to continue as SpaceX keeps going towards Flight 9 here.
Yeah, I did the math, and since Bandwagon 3, SpaceX will do 17 Starlink launches in a row. Half of them from the Cape, so we will have covered them. Yeah.
That's absolutely wild. And also, a huge thank you to Kevin Odom for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. That's 5 more people that can experience some of the perks, whether it's members streams, multi-views, some photos that get posted here on YouTube. That is greatly appreciated. And if you got one of those memberships, be sure to thank Kevin in the chat. Now, we have a question here from Astrohoff wondering, how does prop load speed at Massey's compare to Pad A?
Ryan, that's a very you question. Talking while muted? Okay, well, I'll do that one. So yeah, I just saw the back channel. Sorry, Ryan. So right now, it seems like it's pretty much about the same time frame in the sense that while at the pad, it takes about 50 minutes or so to fully load the ship. Here at Massey's, it also takes roughly 50 minutes or so. Obviously, the tank farm at Massey's is smaller, but so is the ship compared to the full rocket, because the full rocket, at Pad A, they have the full rocket, and therefore it also includes the massive super heavy booster underneath of it. Because you've got here the ship, right? And you see it, and it's 52 meters tall, but a bunch of it is just the engine section, for example, because it occupies like 4 rings of it. And then you have the nose cone, and then you have like another 3 rings from the payload bay and everything. So, like, the tanks are maybe 2/3 of the length or something like that. Whereas the booster, if you look at it, it's pretty much all entirely tank, right? So that's why it can hold a lot more of it, even though it's just like maybe 20 meters taller than the ship, right? But yeah, the tank farm is a lot smaller, but is good enough to be about the same timeline, about the same time as it is for Pad A at the launch site. In the future, it might the Pad B stuff will probably win over Massey's, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to keep a close eye on this. Now, Seamaster Smooth is wondering, when combining all the burn durations, how close we are to a full duration burn for Ship 35. So we're at about a minute and a half of all 6 engines, plus the single engine burn. Right, Alex?
Well, at least one of the engines didn't get the first 30 seconds. And if they replaced again that engine, like, because we think ahead of this round of testing, right? Like this 3rd time that Ship 35 is here, they might have changed one of the RVACs, but we don't know if it's the same, right, as the one that they changed ahead of the full duration, like of the, not full duration, 1 minute long burn. But if they changed that one, then that one didn't get the 30 seconds or the 60-second burn. So there might be 1, maybe 2 engines that haven't gotten any static fire test on it.
Yeah, so we are definitely building up the flight time, but not at that full burn duration there. Now, we also
Ooh.
have Roseanne DeVasto upgrading their membership to launch director. Thank you so much, Roseanne. That is greatly appreciated. And now, Alex, you're seeing something. I think I just saw you type.
Yeah. And also hearing me saying "ooh" because I saw the methane tank now getting frosty. So usually it's like a very thin line of frost that it has for these massy tests. So yeah. And the liquid oxygen tank you can see there, it's very close to the top. I think it's more than what we've got this morning. So I think we are a lot better in a lot better situation. I'm starting to think that maybe this morning that we didn't see the entirety of the LOX tank full, that might have been
Yeah, this looks more
probably
full
the
than this morning. I wonder if they had an issue with with either the LOX side of the tank farm or the LOX side of the vehicle, and that's
You know
why.
what's in the LOX tank, Ryan?
Yeah.
The transfer tubes.
Ooh. Oh no. Here we go.
Well, I
Jack,
know
see, I said transfer tube.
the downcomers.
No.
The down tubers, up tubers.
Woo! Is this a new feed?
Yes, indeed it is. This is a view from Jack this evening as we get closer to testing. We can get a great view with that condensation cloud off to the side of just how full it is and get a better view of that second frost ring now.
Yep.
Also, hi.
Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
What are you seeing? What are you hearing out there being in the field?
A lot of grackles. No, you can hear some tank farm activity. I'm not quite as close as Caesar, Dan, or I think Gage, but you can hear Massey's active, and you can hear every now and then when the ship does vent. That is audible. Though I don't think I've heard that yet for this round of testing. I do feel like there's way more locks loaded than this morning, although I haven't scrutinized the footage from this morning like some people have, so I could be wrong. Ooh, I can hear the ship venting.
Yeah, we see some of the vents there on the LOX tank. That is normal. That's just, keeping the pressures. Because as they load that liquid oxygen, there's less volume above, right? And so that sort of increases the pressure, and you need to release that. Otherwise, it will be a very bad day for that ship.
Yeah, talk to SN8 about that.
So we have a question here from Astrohoff about any launch day goodies that we've been getting in place ahead of this launch with the delays. And I will say, I've not yet left Florida, but I know that preparations have been continued and ongoing to augment our coverage as much as possible this time around. So stay tuned as we get closer towards the flight. And we're also getting closer and closer towards this testing. Ryan, any update on when you think we might see this now that we see more frost?
I am thinking. I could see it in about 10, 20 minutes, give or take. If they're really going for full LOX tank, then I would say 8:30. Then that is probably what I would actually say is 8:30 seems like the time where they'll probably do it, given around there. So hopefully we'll see.
Didn't you say 20 minutes last time D asked you, like 20 minutes ago?
20 minutes ago?
Maybe
No,
like 10 minutes ago.
I said possibly like 8:20, 8:30 before. Unless I'm misremembering what I said. I mean, there's a chance that
I'm just giving you a hard time. No
my
worries.
brain's fried, Jags. It's the second time we've done a stream for 35 today.
For
Yeah,
the
Brian.
record, in the back channels, I said 8:30. Just saying.
All right.
And Mojama here is wondering if they load the LOX tank all the way for spin primes.
They have in the past. They did it on
Yep.
33, so
Yeah,
the reason
we've
they wouldn't
seen
do
it
it for
before.
this.
Yeah,
They
so we'll
seem to do the same load for a spin prime that they would do for a static fire on a ship out at Massey's. So, yeah.
Yeah, the only place where it changes between spin prime and static fire, it seems like it is for booster testing at the pad. Other than that, for the ships, they've been pretty much doing the same. Oh, flaps moving.
That's a good sign because we didn't see that yet. We didn't see that this morning.
Yeah, and
That's
they did
a
that.
good sign.
And they did that with the previous testing with Ship 35.
Yeah, so that's a good sign. That they're in their count. They're further into the count than they were last time. That's a good sign. Yep.
Now, as we get closer towards this potential testing, we have some more support that I want to thank here. We have Anush Patel with a $10 super chat saying, now that SpaceX is picking up the pace with Starship, what changes can we expect with Pad B compared to Pad A? Can we expect a better tank farm?
Hi, Anush, by the way.
Yeah, that's a Ryan question. That's directed to you. He knows you well.
Oh, I know he's asking that question to me. But anywho, to actually answer the question, there are a ton of changes. For one, there's only 5 LOX pumps for the Pad A side and 4 methane pumps. That's going to 9 and 8. They're doubling their subcooling capacity, basically. The supply lines to the pad are double the size in terms of the actual diameter of the pipe. So all in all, you're looking at a possible load of an entire stack in like 30 minutes or less when we're at around 45 right now. So they're looking to shave 15-20 minutes off of it. So less than Falcon 9.
Which is
gonna be
crazy when you think about just how much more propellant there is in Starship compared to Falcon 9.
Yeah, it's nuts that they want to
Um,
try to. It seems like they want to do it that fast. So
Are you looking at that quick disconnect?
yes,
It's venting. Well, quick disconnect. It's an umbilical.
it
'Cause it doesn't
is an
disconnect.
umbilical because it doesn't quit it. Yeah, it's an umbilical. That's probably a better way to put it.
And Anush, hello friend to you as well. We have Sean Plays Too Much Block 3 with a $5 super chat saying, Bacon Tuber. Thank you very much for the support. I feel like at a certain point, the bacon stream is going to become a less often referenced stream, but that was a fun one for sure. We also have Earl Willis becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you very much for the support.
Has the methane frost kind of like frozen? I didn't mean to pun. I really did. Has the methane level stopped rising, or am I just impatient?
It looks like both have relatively stopped rising. I think the LOX is just kind of finishing up, but it looks like the methane is done. Which that's actually a decent amount of methane. Is that just me, Alex? Does it seem like more than even one of the static fires that they've done? Or is that just me?
I will have to go back and look at it.
Now,
Mm,
here's an interesting question from 9/8 Central here. Before hardware is static fire tested, do they test for leaks with nitrogen or compressed air, or do we just see like spin primes and that sort of test before static fires?
They could easily do that in the bay. So if they were in the if they're in the mega bay, they might have a supply line they can hook up to, and basically just supply air or dry nitrogen or just nitrogen into the system, and check for leaks with soapy water. Is literally all they could do is check high pressure lines, check fittings. They can do all that like that. You just need to be able to put a supply of high pressure air into the system to do that, rather than having to try to check that with just straight cryo fluids. So they could do that in the they can do that in the bay. So my guess is they would do that. At least I would do that, but maybe that's just me. It's always good to leak check.
It certainly is. Now, if that 8:20 time is the case, Sorry, I just saw a little bit of that condensation there. We're keeping a close eye on all of this. I'm not sure if that was anything of note, Alex.
By the way, I went back in the methane frost. It's about the same as we saw on the 6-engine static fire test. It probably is a bit trickier this time around because they have the paint / thermal protection system, ablative, whatever, on the sides, right? So it's a bit more deceiving, I guess.
The next steps we should be seeing is the vents for the LOX and methane to die down. Currently, the methane is still going a little bit, or at least it's starting to die down. Once both of those die down and stay died down for a little bit, that's when we're like fully done with prop load, and we should see them getting close to doing whatever test they plan on doing tonight.
Now, one of the big things we've been looking at this flight is actually the booster. Now that they're going for a splashdown, we have Sandman wondering if they might even avoid a landing burn and let it splash down, or if they're going to do a landing burn here. Do we have a good idea on that, Ryan?
I would assuming it gets past Seco. This is the big assumption here. Assuming it makes it past that, and it also survives re-entry with all of the heat shield testing they have, because I wouldn't be surprised if this was lost during re-entry with all the tiles they've taken off. I wouldn't be even remotely shocked if they lost it. I would still expect them to do a flip and burn because they have yet to do one where they block 2. If they do make it that far, I would expect it. They haven't done one with the redesigned forward flaps yet, so it's a little bit different aerodynamically. So I would expect them to do it, assuming it makes it there.
I think Sandman was specifically wondering about the booster doing a landing catch burn there. Oh, Alex, tank farm?
Tank farm's dying down? Oh,
it looks at least a lot quieter.
To booster. My focus is so much on ship. I completely just... I expect them to do a landing burn on booster. They might do something weird with it, though. Like they've done with Falcon in the past, where they try something unique and different. But I still expect them to do a landing burn with booster.
So we'll be keeping a close eye for any sort of testing here over the next 10 minutes.
Ryan, I have a question for you, or Jack, talk.
I'm really curious what they're gonna do. Well, given the prop load that we're seeing, it's everything's on the table. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, my question was like, we often have another type of indicator when they test at the pad, which is the engine chill, right? But that works well for the booster. For the ship, however, it feels to me like it doesn't really work that well, especially when it's in stacked configuration. Because it seems like ever since they start loading propellant, the engine chill lines on the ship just always vent, right? Whereas on the timeline, they're supposed to go into engine chill. at like T-minus 19 minutes and something like that. Here at Massey's, they have a collecting system, just like they have for the booster, right? And it sort of reroutes all of the condensation and everything from the ship out to a distant fan system, and it sort of blows it off to the environment.
This one isn't
for
in
safety.
a fan. The engine chill at
Isn't?
Massey's. No, it isn't. The engine chill at Massey's is a pipe that's off to the side. In fact, there's I think it's Jack's View. You see through Jacksville, you see that cloud that's like right in the foreground. That's from the engine chill. They literally pipe it off to a pipe that is enclosed by gravel and dirt, and it just gets piped into like a dirt like pond, and that's where it goes at Massey's.
I seem to remember different, but okay, I guess. I'll try to look for the footage of the thing.
I think it just stopped. I think I saw some venting there.
From the ship?
From the
vent's
ship.
going. The LOX tank vent is going. Yes.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Probably to top it off.
LOX topping.
Stop thinking about bagels.
How fast do you think you could go from completely asleep to sitting on the side of the road live broadcasting? Just asking, like for a friend. How fast do you think you could do that?
30 minutes with a very minimal and mostly ready setup is optimistic, I think.
Yeah, that's about right.
Like, all your batteries are charged, cameras in the car, everything's ready. Get a call, get to a car, drive. See an ice break away from the umbilical area. As we get closer to the testing, though, I do want to thank Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew, for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. That is greatly appreciated. And if you got one of those memberships, be sure to thank Ninja Decimator in the chat.
Those are great pew pew pews.
I try. I might be a bit tired at this point, but I do my best not to forget the pew pew pews.
I'm really trying to look at all our feeds.
I will literally show you where it. Give me a minute, Alex. I'll show you where it is. Where's the Massey's photo?
Another question.
Hold on with this chat while we wait and see what SpaceX is going to do here in the next 10 minutes or so. Hopefully, or 5 minutes.
Is that audio coming through for you guys from my camera, or are you just getting car sounds? Because I hear loud venting right now.
Yeah, the ship is venting. I think it might have just spin primed very recently. And this is the after test venting that we usually see.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it did. Like 8:23:40. You see a cloud under the ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
See, it's hard but not impossible to see a spin prime at Massey's. Told you so. Ooh, venting sounds.
And we are going to pull up those views here shortly to make sure we can take another look at that and exactly what happened. We'll have those replays coming for you all very shortly. In the meantime, I do want to thank some of the support that we have gotten here. It is greatly appreciated. C-Dated We, with a $5 super chat saying, never forget bacon stream. Let's get toasty ship 35. Never forget the bacon stream. Unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't seem like we're getting a toasty ship 35 today, but hopefully on flight in a few days. Now, Jack, if we have you here, we have a question that is focused towards you.
What's up?
So Plutonium 239 with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Saying, how many pieces of bacon can you fit under the static fire test stand? A Jack buyer might know.
I have no idea. Somebody chat GPT it. I know that's a boring answer. I'm sorry. A lot. The answer is a lot. Maybe enough? I don't know. It's bacon we're
At
talking about
least
here.
3.
Would static fire cooked bacon taste better than microwave cooked bacon? Or would it be safer to eat?
I mean, methane is a clean burning fuel, I tell you what.
Good to know. So, who knows? Maybe one day we'll get some rocket cooked bacon. We have ODST Moody with a $10 super chat saying, interested to see how it handles in reentry, hoping for less ship-rich ablative material. The chunk that came off on on IFT 6 and hit the aft flap shield really got me thinking.
Really? Why? Why are you the way you are?
I changed it to flight in my head, and then I wanted to read it accurately, so I read it as written with IFT. Definitely not, because I know that Ryan Caton is definitely listening and will have heard me say that. Yeah, I think we are.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me sighing?
Oh, I sure can. I know we are all hoping for a less ship-rich ablative material. Thank you very much for the support. We have Bideford, a very, very common name in chat. Bideford, great to see your name in here, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. If you got one of those memberships, be sure to thank her in the chat. And we have Anush Patel with another question, this time for Jack, saying, with a $20 super chat, saying, Jack's questionable bagels fund. Jack, can you describe the coolest Starship test you've experienced?
Yeah, sorry, some traffic's going by. You might get some background sound. Coolest Starship test? It'd be a tie probably between Starhopper and SN8, just because they were so unprecedented. Flight 1 would have been really cool to actually see, but from River, it went straight into a cloud, so we didn't see any of the backflipping or any of that stuff that you could see from South Padre. So I think, yeah, SN6 was pretty amazing, but I wasn't here for SN5, which was, the first one to do that 150-meter hot profile after Starhopper. So even though SN6 was amazing, and I'll cherish that experience for my life, my entire life, that was a really special one for a variety of reasons. I think it's a tie between Starhopper and SN8.
That is super cool. Thank you for sharing that. I wish I was there in the days of Hoppy. Like, it was so cool even back in SN15 when I was first there, and so to see it that early must have been.
The Starhopper days were bonkers. It was just like, it's still bonkers, completely insane. But back then, I mean, it was just sand dunes. It was just sand dunes. It was amazing.
I bet. Now, Ryan, I'll throw this question to you. Nikki D, just wondering what's happening. So, what have we seen? What's happening this evening?
So I'll just recap the day. Why don't we just do that at this point? So early this morning, SpaceX spooled up Massey's, loaded up 35, but didn't fully load it. Looks like they loaded some methane. They didn't fully load. They maybe loaded the LOX tank like 3/4. And then after a little bit of holding, they then detanked and safed it. We were like, well, we don't know if they did a spin prime. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know. Right in the middle of this, right at the end of the stream, we saw the road closure come out, but of course that was scheduled the day before. And then here we are. It's like 6:30, and SpaceX starts spooling up the tank farm again. They load up 35, and then they all the way up this time, do the full flap testing, and then they spin primed it. So SpaceX has performed a 4th engine test on this ship, which is a record for Block 2, and it's a record since like ship 24. They haven't done this many tests or even attempted tests on a ship since like the early days of Block 1, for that matter. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess you can make that up to decide yourself on that one. But either way, if it was a good test, then they roll it back. They might be able to make it tonight. That's a maybe. If they can detank and safe it, they might be able to make that rollback window. It's from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. There's a chance they can make it, but you know SpaceX. I mean, they'll roll right at like 3:59 a.m. and then roll from like 4 to like 6 in the morning and cause a traffic jam because it's SpaceX. But, you know, and then maybe launch next week. Maybe, assuming it went well.
Ryan, that's a great answer to segue to this incredibly generous $100 super chat from Russell Snodgrass. Thank you so much, Russell, who's asking, do you think they'll roll back tonight or hold on in static fire tomorrow? And how might this testing affect launch dates?
Well, to tack on to what I was saying before, I think they roll back tonight, or at least they try to roll back tonight or early tomorrow, whatever. One way or the other, they are going to get this, assuming everything's fine, they're going to get this ship back to the hangar, back to the bay as quick as possible. Then the next step would be rolling 14 out and getting it back on the pad. And then once they got the dumb links and the rest of the stuff sorted with this ship, roll it to the launch site and get it stacked and maybe launch Tuesday. Because I will say this, for GSE testing or Pad A testing, in the middle of the day today, they spun up Pad A. They tested the pumps, they tested some of the subcoolers, tested the pulp vent, probably the methane recondenser, stuff like that. So they did some testing with it to verify some stuff. So maybe they won't even do a tanking test at all. And then they stack and go. Tuesday, maybe. At the earliest, I would say. Because we don't want another Thursday launch. At least I know Alex doesn't want another Thursday launch. So,
Please, no Thursday launch. Or Friday, for that matter. Saturday, they can launch on Saturday. I'm good. The Department of Alex Transportation, I guess you can call it like that. I approve the launch on Saturday. Or Tuesday. It's on a Tuesday, right? It's good. Oh, there we go. Replay of the spin prime. Take a look below the ship.
You got an arrow you can point. It's like a blink and you'll miss it. There. The little white cloud that appears below the ship. And
Yeah.
This is a white puff. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's what you get with a spin prime.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the thing. We don't want another Booster 7. When it is a boring test, we actually like it. You got to think about it.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a boring test, and especially if it's a good test and it's good to go, I'm fine with that.
Especially if that means 5 days from now we've got a launch. Hopefully 5 hours from now this thing is floating on the Indian Ocean.
Hey, I was about to say, like, exactly like 5 days from now, let's hope that Ship 35 is in the Indian Ocean, or at least bits and pieces of it are into the Indian Ocean as it fails on reentry, because I don't think it's surviving reentry with all the tiles missing, but besides the point on that one.
That would still be progress on my book.
That would be. I'm sorry. Well, that would actually be major progress.
That's the spin prime. There we go.
That would be gigantic progress. Even if they lost, I will say this to everyone. if this gets past SECO, and even if they lose it in reentry, that it's a massive win for them, because with the way they've removed the tiles, they can then figure out where they can't lose a tile and figure how they need to either beef up that location or whatever else that they need to figure out with the heat shield. It would be heat shield data for the first time since November, with Flight 6. So
Yeah. I will say though, when they did the first actual reentry on a Block 1 ship, you know, when they actually got the chance, because poor Ship 28 with those valves being, you know, stuck and clogged and everything, it wasn't able to, right? But Ship 29 got its attitude control and everything all nice and dandy and everything, and so I was able to actually go through reentry properly with the ship oriented in the right direction, right? Not engines first, if you will, because we all saw that those flips and flops from Ship 28. But yeah, and you know, it went through, sure, with lots of damage. That flap that almost couldn't, but it could. That little flap that could. And it did. You know, it reached the ocean, and so I don't know. Like, maybe we'll see. I have faith. Just, you know.
Here we're getting another replay of this spin prime test. Let's take a close look there.
There we go. Look at that.
poof. Literally, just poof. So, Alex,
Yes.
what do they do? What do they do for spin prime?
Ooh, if only we were working on a video about this. So, you know, the Raptor engine, it has the methane turbo pump assembly, and then you've got the liquid oxygen turbo pump assembly. So it's a pump and a turbine, right? The turbine is essentially powered by the preburner, and then the turbine spins the pump and everything. So what they do when they light up the Raptor engine is they first spin up the turbines to be able to drive the pumps. So both liquid oxygen and liquid methane can go into the engine. And, you know, then from the pumps, they go through different places, which I won't go into detail. And then they need to go to the preburners, where they mix. On the methane preburner, you've got mostly methane with a little bit of the oxygen. And the opposite is true for the oxygen preburner, where you've got a lot of oxygen and a little bit of methane. And it's like small rocket engines inside of the big rocket engine. And those small rocket engines power the pumps, as I was saying before. After the preburners, they go into the main injector, and then to the main combustion chamber, and then out the nozzle. Okay, so what happens during a spin prime is they just spin up the oxidizer pump, the side of the oxygen on the Raptor engine. And what you see, all of that puff of cloud that you see is just essentially that oxygen going through that pump, reaching all of the other pieces and everything, reaching the preburner. It doesn't actually ignite on the preburner because there's no ignition, right? And then you've got that oxygen going through the injector, then main combustion chamber, and out the nozzle. So that's why you see that jet of white coming out from the engine. There's another type of test, the preburner, where you've got both the oxidizer and the methane pumps running, and you only light up one of the preburners, in this case, the fuel preburner. You don't light both. On Raptor 2, if you light both, you probably will light also the main combustion chamber, because they don't have igniters on the main combustion chamber. And so they only light up one of them, the fuel preburner in this case. So you are testing on a preburner test, you're essentially testing sort of like in between the middle of that engine ignition process, but not igniting the engine. So you see not only venting, but also a lot of fire, because now you actually have a combustion going on. It's just not the main combustion. And then, you know, if you want to fire up the engine, as I say before, you just fire up the other preburner. Things go through the injector, goes to the main combustion chamber, everything fires up, you create thrust, your engine is going. That's pretty much. We have a full video explaining all of this. It's already in editing. It's been written, recorded, it's now in editing. Finally. I'm so glad.
Absolutely. Now, we do have more support here to thank, of course, which we really, really appreciate here. We have Mark W. with a $5 super chat saying, with a 6 a.m. Friday to Tuesday road closure ban because of the holiday weekend, do we think they have enough time to move Ship 35 tonight? So, Alex, how do the ship closures work on a holiday weekend for any sort of moves?
Oof.
They don't.
Maybe because it's a rolling closure, they don't get any. I don't know, Ryan. What do you think?
Um, they don't. They don't have a road closure ban. The ban is they can't close the beach. So they can
Yeah.
do a movement closure. So they can move ship. They can move booster to the pad over the weekend. They can move ship to the pad over the weekend. Get them both stacked. They just can't close the beach, which means that's why they can't do any tanking testing over the weekend. And if they really wanted to do tanking tests, they'd have to do it on Tuesday and then push the launch a day or two. So if they really are going for the 27th, they can roll everything over the weekend, get it stacked, and then they can actually do a full beach closure and everything on Tuesday for the launch. So they can still do intermittent road closures for rolling stuff because it doesn't close the beach. The beach is still open for that.
Now, we have a great comment here from 9/8 Central saying, Seco, I know what that means now with John's video that premiered earlier. And that is a great pitch to check out our new acronyms video. There is a lot of jargon in spaceflight. OLM, SECO. I mean, there are so many things. It's hard to know them all. But Das and the team here has been putting a ton of time into this video. You might have seen it hinted at months ago. They've been spending a long time to get this right, covering all the acronyms you could need to know here. So be sure to check out that video to make sure you aren't missing anything as you're listening to us talk on the live streams and potentially using some jargon you might not be familiar with.
Hey, D.
Hey, what?
D. Who's John?
Okay, I went in that I was in the habit of reading it word for word. Das, of course. I only call him Das in person, of course. But 9/8 Central here said John in the comment, so I regurgitated that. But go ahead and check out that video. We have.
And there's that. Oh, sorry.
What were you saying, Jack?
There's that like famous was it an Elon email about acronyms seriously suck, like trying to break down the use of acronyms. But at a certain point, they're inevitable, right? So I do really enjoy that video. Also, I also laughed when you said John, even though that's what the super chat said. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for that, Ryan.
I had to.
And we have a bunch more support to thank you for here on this evening ship testing stream. We have Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew, with a $5 super saying ChatGPT says 388 metric tons of bacon slices will fit under the test stand. Roughly 25.9 million slices at 15 grams each. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Ninja Decimator. We would not have known that without you and ChatGPT. We have Ryan 9/8 Central with a $5 tip, tips.nasaspaceflight.com, another way to support us, avoiding YouTube and the like, saying thank you for the best coverage a space nerd could ask for. Thank you for the support here this evening. It is greatly appreciated, and we're always seeing your name in chat, and it means the world. Joseph Royer with a $5 super chat saying, wet dress rehearsal or straight to flight considering the holiday? I don't know. I'll throw that to Alex for a quick answer. That might be blasphemous for a quick answer from Alex.
Wait, which one was again? Sorry, I was reading the actual now chat and not the previous one. Sorry.
Wet dress rehearsal or straight to flight,
Oh,
considering the
straight
holiday?
to flight. That's my thinking here. Yeah.
We have Goliath 810 with a $20 tip. Thank you, Goliath. What a wonderful time to be alive. Trips to the stars upcoming. Absolutely. Always a great time when you can look to the stars with spaceflight becoming more common and accessible than ever. We have Roseanne Devasto with a $10 super chat wondering the current known objective of Flight 9. And to the best of our knowledge, that will be booster splashdown, ship making it through SECO, and I mean, as far as we know, they'll want to test that reentry, and whatever the outcome of that reentry is, will be more data for them to continue to improve on. But certainly, making it past SECO is certainly that's one of their objectives here. We have Mark W with a $2 super saying it actually says no SH4 access restrictions. So, well, I mean, we will certainly be keeping a close eye on what is to come with roles and the like this upcoming holiday weekend. We have 33 Raptors maybe upgrading to a red team membership. Thank you, 33 Raptors. And we have Dave Avery with a $5 super saying, Alex, how does a spin prime work with R2 now that the pre-burners are the ignition source for the main combustion chamber? This is technically above me for sure.
Yeah, the same way
pretty-
that it worked on Raptor 1. You don't need the pre-burners for anything spin prime related. You just inject high pressure gas on the turbine, and that drives the pump, and that's pretty much it. Like that's the start of the ignition process on Raptor. So that's essentially what you can test. That sort of spin up. We call it a spin prime because it spin ups the pump. Like that's the whole deal. SpaceX calls it a chill and spin. It's also part of the video that I wrote about Raptor. They call it like a chill spin because they chill down the engine and then they do the spin of the pump precisely to test the very start of the ignition process, because you first need to start up the pumps, and then that lets all of the liquid oxygen and liquid methane through the engine.
And last up here with Kyle R and a $5 super chat, I'll throw this to Ryan. Do you think we could see Pad B simulate a catch if 14-2 simulates a water landing? Is there enough infrastructure there to support that just yet?
Those sticks are, well, they're being load tested even right now. In fact, it looks like they finished up with some of the load testing. They're emptying some of the bags right now, but they are those sticks should be almost fully operational. About the only thing that's missing are the stabilizer arms, but they don't need that until they're lifting vehicles. So the parts for them are sitting over in Sanchez. They're just not installed yet. But yeah, they could simulate a catch with Pad B if they really wanted to. I don't think they will, but.
Well, it will be something for us all to keep an eye on as we get closer to launch. Now, Alex, we are just a few days away from the 27th when, as far as we know, SpaceX is targeting for Flight 9. It has been an interesting journey to this point, I would say, for sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are closing in to almost 3 months, right, since Flight 8, because that was sort of middle of March, essentially. And now it's like after many tests, after seeing, lots of rollouts and rollbacks and everything, hopefully this test today was, the end of it for Ship 35, and the next time that we're going to see any sort of engine action on that vehicle will be during flight. That's the hope. Knock on wood, cross your fingers, whatever rituals anybody has for good luck. But yeah, I mean, we're hoping we're gonna see this rolling back maybe they have enough time during this rollout closure, which I think it ends at 4 a.m. Central, right?
Yeah.
So they have plenty of time in theory if they go quickly after detanking and everything. And then it's gonna be a matter of what are they gonna be doing back at the production site, right? Like they may be doing not only just loading, for example, loading the Starlink simulators. They might also put on some liveries, for example, of the, because we didn't see that with 34. Unfortunately, we did see that with 33, but not 34. Maybe they can squeeze some time out of their schedules to put that on 35. Other than that, I suspect that maybe this weekend will be all about moving these vehicles, both 35 and Booster 14, out to the pad, getting them stacked and doing the final checkouts, doing all of their, reviewing all of their paperwork and everything. Believe it or not, SpaceX does have paperwork. It's just, they can go through that a lot faster than, normal bureaucracy. But, they usually have these launch readiness review sort of the day before of a big launch. So they're probably going to go through all that the day before. We'll see. I'm hoping we get an update from SpaceX maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Knowing SpaceX is probably going to be tomorrow because it's Friday, right? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's sort of in my mind right now as potential next few steps for these flights.
All right, and we have one more $10 super chat here. Ryan, do you think the test tank in the structure could also be testing potential side thrusters for HLS? The holes around the tank in the center of the can crusher look like a maybe.
No. Those are for actuators attached to the landing tank and a little bit of like a simulated transfer tube that's hooked into a common dome on test tank 17, or otherwise known as B18.1. So it's a Block 3 booster aft article, or it's actually kind of like a small Block 3 booster, basically, because they literally have 2 tanks in there with a landing tank, everything. It's a fully kitted out aft. It's got 33 engine points on it. No, it's not even at all. It's not at all related to HLS. It's Block 3 booster. So, yeah.
And Ninja Decimator saying, one could say it's been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long time, but my time is finally near. Thank you for the support. And I want to thank Alex for being on the stream here this evening.
It's always a pleasure. I mean, this one was a little bit quicker, right, than the last time that we were both on stream with that rollout of Ship 35. But yeah.
Yes, that was definitely a long one. We're at about an hour today, and it was closer to 3 that I was on that time. Also, Ryan, thank you so much for being on commentary with us here today.
Pleasure as always, and can't wait to see if hopefully we get some stuff from SpaceX tomorrow and talk about it. So
we also had Jack out in the field with cameras and the likes and hopping on comms a bit. Be sure to check out the NSF socials to see all the clips. There's time lapses and the like. Following us there and getting notifications turned on means you'll never miss a live stream or other event. In the back channels, pushing all the buttons, pulling all the levers has been Carson, and I have been your host this evening, D. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for hanging out with us, and we will see you all next time.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?